guys, CJ Carter again, video blog. Heaven only knows how long it's going to take. So, might as well just jump in. Okay, the first thing is if you're spoiler phobic, if you haven't read episode 8 yet, then you really need to go and read episode 8 because I'm going to start right off talking about events that have happened in that episode. Usually I leave that for the end, but for some reason I really want to kind of talk about this episode a little bit, and I'm gonna, because it's my site and I can do what I want to. Okay, so again, fair warning if you don't want to know, and I wouldn't think that you'd want to, go and read episode 8 and we'll move on from there. Okay, so now the spoilers start now. Okay, the first thing I should probably address is the big event of the episode. One of the big events. Actually, there were many big events, you just don't know it yet. And that would be the death of former special agent of the FBI, James Ellison. Why, CJ, why did you kill Mr. Ellison? I killed him because it was his time. And it's really kind of just that simple. Within Sarah's timeline in 2011, this was the time for him to go. He was basically little more useful than being Savannah's babysitter. He wasn't doing much more than that. So a lot of the FBI work is being done by Agent Aldridge. How trustworthy Aldridge may be, it's still kind of up for grabs so far as we know. And a lot of the backup work and the groundwork is being done by Alejandra. So there really wasn't a lot of use to have Ellison, except to be a friend of Savannah. And that really wasn't enough of an excuse. I mean, this isn't the Savannah show, and I felt that it was kind of time to move on in their timeline. This isn't the end of Ellison, because as you know, I'm going to be going back and forth and back and forth. So as long as we are prior to when he died, which is going to be more often than not, we're still going to be seeing Agent Ellison. And this was not a case of him being a tragic figure, not like Sarah's death. This is just a case that he is somebody who just happens to be stuck in circumstances that are beyond his control, that he never wanted to be in. And let's face it, if you hang around the corners, you stand a better than average shot of dying in some way. This was kind of a mixed death in that the precipitating action was him being a shield for Sarah and trying to stop an attack on Sarah. So he did die a heroic death. It's just that the end game of it, him dying from post-surgical infection, not quite as heroic, but a lot more common. And I thought it kind of straddled the ground between heroic death and just getting shot dead with a bullet through your head. So I think for the life that he was living, it was a good death. He got a good action scene out of it anyway. And Sarah got an extra $20 million beyond the $7 million that was stolen. So good on them. One of the most important things to know is that episode 9, Trail Mix, is probably going to be the last episode that is mostly concerned with setting up story. Not that there aren't more events that need to be set up along the way, but from now on, for the next 13 episodes, and I've really been looking forward to this, for the next 13 episodes, we are going to be just event after event after event. A lot of this is because of the time squish that I'm kind of doing, so that every episode is going to be maybe a couple of weeks after the previous one, or maybe a month after the previous one, with some exceptions. So things move along very quickly, and that being the case, I can't use up time with a lot of character development beyond what I already planned for, and not a lot of setting up of these complex threads that are going through. I have to start paying them off. And 13 episodes, it's going to be tight. I think it's so funny when, as I've heard from other sources, and I believe I've read online myself, that Josh wasn't really confident of being able to fill out story for an entire season. And I kind of think that's a little bit of madness, because I'm having trouble filling out my last 13 episodes, and you already know how the first 9 have gone. You know, they ain't chopped liver for the most part. Nothing's really fallen flat so far as I can tell. And now, you kind of remember how the last 3 episodes were of season 2? That's going to be the last 13 episodes. It's really big. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I knew after I got past episode 9, it was going to be fun. And it's kind of disappointing in a way, because I know that I'm running out of episodes. True, I still have more to write than I've written so far. But I know where it's going, and I know all the things that are going to happen, all the questions that are going to be answered, that have yet to be answered. And it's going to be such a fun ride. I wish I could just grab you and tell you everything that's going to happen, because it's going to be so cool. At least I think it is. You might not. You know, you might have made different choices than I am making. And that's okay. Because everybody who has a creative mind, and that should be just about everybody, has their own take on how stories should be told. That's why the Copyright Office, has as its general rule that you cannot copyright an idea. You can only copyright the implementation of the idea. Because after all, stories like Romeo and Juliet and Beauty and the Beast and any number of other stories, they're all based on the same plot. But it's what you do with that plot that matters. How do you develop your characters? How are you making them interact with whatever little twists and turns that you've put in their path? That's the crux of it. That's what makes story. And as I told you before, I used to be, when I first started writing, a plot is more important sort of writer. And right now I'm very much a character is more important writer. You have to develop your characters, and I know it seems strange in a universe like Terminator that's very action-oriented, lots of special effects and things like that. But you can't let the special effects be the story. When I'm writing the story, I got to tell you, honestly, I am barely even seeing the special effects. I mean, I see endos, but I'm not thinking of special effects. I'm thinking of them as characters. And battles are battles, because this is, in many ways, a war movie. So I'm thinking of all of the characters here as characters. How are they developing? Are they progressing where they need to be based on their circumstance? Are they not progressing based on their circumstance and thus are having trouble? Things like that. And that is what you need in one of these stories. The special effects are incidental. And it's so easy to lose sight of that sometimes. George Lucas, for example, in the first Star Wars, special effects were kind of limited, so he had to focus on story. He told the hero's journey almost verbatim. And it was a good story. I mean, it's still a classic. And the first trilogy, outstanding, because he focused on character.